Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, and this is the installment of the end of the year series where I talk about my favorite non-fiction books of the year. And these are the books that I read in 2020, not necessarily published in 2020, but these are my top non-fiction reads. And that being said, I'm a bit dressed up, as you can see if you've not observed yet. I am dressing up for these videos and it's fun because it's the end of the year and it's the festive season as well. And I wanted to just show off my earrings. These are my earrings series. Okay, cool. Let's get on with the video now. Okay, so basically, um, I do not read much non-fiction in general. It's a disclaimer because my non-fiction, I don't appreciate much of non-fiction, but this year I really dived into non-fiction. Like, literally, like, you dive from like a height into a swimming pool. That's what I did with non-fiction this year. And it's been a great experience because I kind of read 15 non-fiction books, and out of them I liked most of them, but then I'm going to give you my top 8 non-fiction reads of 2020 for me, and I think you should read them too. So let's start with the 8th one. So for the 8th one, actually I have 2 books, like the 8th rank, and that's because both of these are kind of in the same boat. Both of them are 9/11 memoirs. Recently in December, I went into this whole rabbit hole with 9/11, and I want to read more 9/11 memoirs. So the first book that I read was Sway by Matthew Bocci. This book is about Matthew Bocci and how his father died in 9/11, and his father was an employee of Counter Fitzgerald, unfortunately, and it was just that it was a very unfortunate situation, and it eventually talks about his abuse, sexual and drug abuse, and it also talks about how his life spiraled because of his father's death. It's a very heartbreaking memoir, to be honest. You may cry at the end of it, and the first 2 hours of the book, I listened to the audiobook, and the first 2 hours of the book especially describes the death and whatever happened on the day of the tragedy, and then soon, like, the whole thing transcends to the author's own experience with his father's death and how he had to make peace with it. So it talks a lot about all of these things. It's a heartbreaking memoir, but I think at the end of it there is a small silver lining because the author is much better now, and that's why he wrote this book. So I recommend it if you're looking for a 9/11 memoirs and the effect on people's family. So that's that. The next book in the same 8th rank currently is Reluctant Hero by Michael Benfante. And this particular book, again, I listened to this as an audiobook, and it talks about Michael Benfante and his heroic act where he and John, I'm sorry, I don't recollect John's last name. They actually carried a differently able woman in a wheelchair about 68 floors down. And I think that in itself is a very heroic act. But then it later on talks about his media appearances and how he felt during the whole situation, because he did not feel like he should have gotten alive of that particular situation. So it's a good memoir. It is a first-hand experience of 9/11, and I really love this book a lot, and especially the aftermath, the way he describes the media and people, like, he even talks about surviving and how we need to stand together as a band, like, and not like deceive each other. The only reason why he could get out of there was because he had support. People were supporting him, and they made way for him and his colleague and the woman in the wheelchair. So it's an amazing memoir. Please do read it if you're interested in 9/11 and understanding 9/11 and the tragedy and the aftermath of the same. Let's get to the 7th book that I really like this year. The 7th book for me is Gut by Julia Enders. Julia Enders is a doctor in Germany, and actually this book was first written in German and later on translated to a number of languages. And this book talks about how the digestive system works. It's basically the digestive system 101. And did you know that there are more microbes in your body than stars in the galaxy? Like, I didn't know that, and You yourself are a celestial body, basically. So if you are interested in like medical non-fiction, then this is a good book to pick up, because it talks about a lot of technicalities, and it kind of conveys to the layman about how your digestive system in general works. So that being said, my sixth favorite book of the year, and that is Rebel Sultans by Manu S. Pillai. I've spoken about this book in detail on my channel in my November wrap up, but let me just tell you, in India, when people are trying to divide and rule you and trying to modify and kind of transform history into something very much different, this is the book that you should read. It talks about the time from 1300s to 1600s, that is from Khilji to Shivaji, how Alauddin Khilji defeated a lot of kingdoms in India till the rise of Shivaji. It talks about the Nizam, it talks about the Mughals, it also talks about Vijayanagar, the Vijayanagar kingdom as well, and also a lot of historical anecdotes that you might have never heard of. Also, what I really love about this book is, like I said in my November wrap up, 75 pages, last 75 pages of the book contain notes and book notes of references, and each reference is linked to a book and a page number that you can refer and check out on your own. And I think that's very commendable, because the author has done too much research in order to get this book actually written and published, and I really appreciate Manu S. Pillai's writing for the same. That being said, let's move on to the top five, I think. My fifth favorite book of this year, my favorite non-fiction book of this year, is Mindful to Mindful by Om Swami. This is actually a self-help meditation book. So if you're looking for something that's meditation, then this is a nice book to read. It talks about Zen meditation and the techniques of Zen meditation, and it's actually like, the reason I like it is because for someone who does not know anything about meditation, it kind of relays Zen concepts to you in a very nice manner, like you understand it. It's not like technical at all, it's very humorous as well, and there are even these comics in the middle of the book which have been made by certain people, and they just like, I mean, it's fun to read, and it's a very light book, but then the lessons you learn from this book are actually very genuine, and they are great. Also, I love Om Swami's humor. Although he's supposed to be a guru, his humor is very good apparently. So yeah, that's that. And then let's go move on to my fourth favorite book of the year, and that is In the Dream House by Carmen Maria Machado. Basically, Carmen Maria Machado is from the Iowa Writers Workshop, and I always love people from the Iowa Writers Workshop. You know this if you've been following me for a long time. And In the Dream House is a memoir about the author's time in an abusive relationship, and each chapter is written in a form of a vignette. So when I say vignette, it's more like the dream house. So the dream house is the house where the abuse took place. So it's like the dream house as a spy thriller, the dream house as utopia, the dream house as dystopia. So every time you read a chapter, you need to like remove your glasses and wear another pair of glasses, because then you are kind of exploring the dream house through the author's eyes. And I think that's a very unique writing style. Also, I love her writing style. It's not for everybody, but it is for people in general. So yeah, that's that. That being said, let's get to my top three. This is my top three. Okay, cool. My third favorite book, non-fiction, of this year is Who They Was by Gabriel Krause. This was long listed for the Booker Prize 2020, and I really, really, really love this book. And also, I would like to flex that we had a chance of interacting with Gabriel Krause himself directly, and honestly, I loved the interaction that we had. And yeah, let me just say that this book talks about the dark side of London. Whenever we think about London, we think about the Queen, the monarchy, red buses, whatever you want to think about it. But in all honesty, there is a dark side to London as well. There are gang wars in London, and Gabriel Krause belongs to that part of London. That's Kilburn. And he also belongs to a very, very artistic family, if I may. Like, his brother is a violinist, he's a lot into classical music. His father was a very controversial comic artist and had to move from Poland to the UK because a lot of his art was being censored. And so he was an illustrator, by the way. He used to criticize the Soviet Union a lot. Also, his uncle is a filmmaker, and yeah, so also his mother works in the art, somewhere in the art industry as well. So basically, it talks about a lot of violence and how he used to jump people, mug people on the streets, and how he got out of that life. It's a great, great memoir and a well written one. Again, I highly recommend the audiobook because this book is written in London slang, like it's 100% London slang, which might be difficult to understand for people from outside of the UK. But then the audiobook has been narrated very well in the appropriate accents as well. So that being said, my second favorite book of this year is again a memoir. It's Born a Crime by Trevor Noah. This is one of my favorite memoirs of all time because not only I like Trevor Noah, like I do watch the Daily Show, like the snippets on YouTube, and I really love it. But having read this book, I have more insight into South African history and Trevor Noah's life and how he is literally born a crime. Basically, Trevor Noah is the son of a white man and a black woman, and he was born during the apartheid. Basically, whites and blacks were not supposed to marry each other, and they were not allowed to even copulate, apparently. And this book is a very powerful book because at the same time, he talks about all of these tribes and languages in South Africa and how Afrikaans is like a very premier language, and there's Xhosa, there's Zulu, a lot of insight into South African culture has been explained in this book, and it's a very good historical reference in itself. So, that being said, let's get to my top favorite book of this year, and that is Smoke Gets in Your Eyes, Another Story from the Crematorium by Caitlin Doughty. This is my favorite non-fiction of all time until this point. I love this a lot. It talks about death. It talks about Caitlin Doughty, who's worked in a crematorium before. She works very close with death, and it also sheds light on the Western funeral industry and embalming in general. And it also talks about how, as a human society, we view death to be a very, very bad thing. Death is basically a taboo, and it's just, I don't know, it's just basically, I mean, this is an amazing book. I highly recommend you read it. I've already gifted like 2 or 3 copies of this book to friends, and I really, really, really love this book. Please read it if you've not read it yet, and let me know. We can discuss this book later on, and it has a very good insight on death in general. And yeah, I'm just blabbering, I'm just gushing about this book. And if I ever get a chance to meet Caitlin Doughty, honestly, I'm just going to be like, okay, fine, cool. That is over exaggeration anyway. But then, yeah, I'm going to do that. Okay, cool, fine. So that's my top book, non-fiction of 2020. Meanwhile, I do have a lot of non-fiction reads coming up in 2021. The thing is that I don't know, whenever people talk about non-fiction, generally people tend to just talk about self-help or one part of non-fiction, and they just glorify that part. But many people don't read like history and stuff like that. And just like yesterday's rant at the end of the video, let me just tell you one more, give you one more rant. So basically, this famous Indian booktuber had this whole, I don't know, they had this discussion, 3 famous Indian booktubers had this discussion apparently, and I like the discussion, by the way. But then one of them stated that their favorite Indian book of all time is actually a self-help book, and which is okay for them. It might have been, But then I just realized that many people in India do not know much about non-fiction, or many young people in India do not read much Indian non-fiction in order to classify that particular book as their favorite book. And that really hurt me, because if they would have read more Indian non-fiction in their lives other than Indian non-fiction self-help, maybe their answer would have been different. So I think, like, it's okay, right? If they have a suggestion, they can have that suggestion, and they have can have that opinion. Sorry, they can have that opinion. But on the whole, I think Indian nonfiction is a very diverse one. And when we talk about nonfiction, we should not only talk about self-help, we should also talk about other genres in general, like memoirs, history, stuff like that. So that being said, yeah, this is it. This is the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching, and let me know if you've read any of these books, and let me know what's your favorite non-fiction book of 2020 as well. I'd like to know that, so that next year I can read the same. Thank you so much. I'll see you in my tomorrow's video. It's a surprise. Okay, bye.